Good morning. Welcome to Beverly Unitarian Church. I'm the Reverend David Schwartz, minister here at Beverly Unitarian, and it is a joy to join with you virtually for our service this Sunday. We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation of children and youth and adults. We're a community of many races, of many beliefs and identities, of many genders and sexual orientations. We're a community of different abilities and different education and different income and different traditions, and we do all of that intentionally. We gather together in this community not to make all of our individuality boil away into some bland melting pot. This is not a melting pot church. This is a potluck church where you bring all of who you are to what we're doing here. All of who you are and all of who you're becoming. All of you is sacred. You're welcome here. Whatever your past was like, whatever this present moment is like, the invitation today is to journey into the future together. Like other Unitarian Universalist congregations, what unites us is not doctrine or dogma. It's not creed, but principles, a set of 7 values that we share, articulated as our 7 principles. You can check them out on uua.org, the denomination website, if you haven't seen it. And what unites us is a shared sense of mission, a shared sense of purpose, that we gather as a community to grow our spirits, to grow as people rooted in community, knowing both that we are beloved as we are and that we all have a little work to do. We gather to grow our spirits, and we gather to help heal the world. Our work in this congregation is not to separate ourselves, isolate ourselves, or expect that everything is just going to turn out okay no matter what. We're a hoping congregation. Not an optimistic or a pessimistic congregation who think things are going to turn out all bad or all good without us. We're a hopeful congregation who believe in the possibility of a better world and our own responsibility to make our corner of it better too. I am delighted this morning to welcome our guest preacher, Monica Kling-Garcia. Monica was with us last spring for a virtual service, and I know her well because she is the intern at First Unitarian Church up the road in Hyde Park, where I serve in co-ministry with my wife, Reverend Terry, who we heard from a little bit earlier this summer. For the past couple of years, I've taught at Meadville Lombard, our seminary here in Chicago. And if there is one thing that continually restores my faith in humanity, in this tradition, and in our shared future, a future that is going to outlast any of us, it's getting to spend time with the folks who are studying and preparing for ministry, who are such a group of deeply thoughtful, committed people. So I'm glad to welcome Monica Kling-Garcia to our pulpit this morning. And I'm excited in the weeks ahead for you to get to know Julia Jones, our own intern, who started here just a couple of days ago at the beginning of September. More from her in the weeks ahead. I hope you'll give her a warm welcome. We especially welcome visitors. I hope you'll stay for the virtual coffee hour after the service on Zoom. A link will come up at the very end of the service. And I look forward to the day when we can meet in person. Because of the pandemic, we distance ourselves physically, but we still stay connected. In addition to Sunday worship, coffee hour after, we have groups who gather for connection, for community, and for church business too. To get involved or to sign up for the weekly email, go to our Facebook page, send us a note, or go to the church website. You'll find the email to get in touch to sign up for those things. Friends, I invite you now to join together in spirit and prepare our hearts and minds for worship.
Hi, everybody. I'm excited to share a song with you today that I really love. It's a setting of the metta meditation from the Buddha. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. And may I be happy. starting with a practice of compassion towards ourselves, and then gradually extending that compassion outward to the entire world. So that first, if we can extend compassion to ourselves, we can then extend compassion to the people that we know, and maybe the people that we see, and maybe the people that we haven't even heard about and don't even know about, is the idea. So I'm going to teach you this melody. I learned it from a colleague of mine, Amy Menard, and I wrote a harmonization. So I'll sing a line and invite you to sing that line back to me. It goes like this. May I be filled with loving kindness. Try that. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. Your turn. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. Together. May I be peaceful and at ease. And may I be happy. The last line. And may I be happy. So in a second, we will sing that all again. And then we'll change the word I to the word you, and then to we, and finally to all. And between each verse, I'm going to just play a little instrumental music, and I just invite us to really meditate during that time on what we're singing and what we're saying, and endeavor to feel some of that compassion for ourselves and for others. Let's start with May I Be Filled. And may I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. And may I be happy. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. And may you be happy. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. And may we be happy. all be filled with loving kindness. May all be well. May all be peaceful and at ease. And may all be happy. Thanks, everyone.
Hello, Beverly Unitarian Church. It is so good to be back here again with you this morning. I'm Monica Kling-Garcia, the ministerial intern at the First Unitarian Church of Chicago, and a seminary student at Meadville Lombard Theological School. As we begin our worship today, I invite you to get comfortable. Grab yourself something to drink, maybe grab yourself a warm, fuzzy blanket, and let us rest in worship together. Our opening words today come from Gwen Matthews. Feel that each breath, every inhale, every exhale, we are living, breathing, connected. We are the whole, complete, beautiful selves that we were born to be. Feel that in your bones, in your muscles, in your heart and your blood. That is the extraordinary you, the you who was born for this time, this place, this moment. Feel that, the struggle, the worry, the pain, the loss, the grief. It is still you. You are still whole, complete, beautiful, extraordinary. Feel that.
Come, thou fount of every blessing, tune our hearts to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. While the hope of life's perfection fills our hearts with joy and love, teach us ever to be faithful. May we still thy goodness prove. Come, thou fount of every vision, lift our eyes to what may come. See the lion and the young lamb dwell together in thy home. Hear the cries of war fall silent, feel our love glow like the sun. When we all serve one another, then our heaven is begun. Come, thou fount of inspiration, turn our lives to higher ways. Lift our gloom and desperation, show the promise of this day. Help us bind ourselves in union, help our hands tell of our love. With thine aid, O fount of justice, earth be fair as heaven above.
Friends, will you join me in the words of our covenant, the commitment that we make to each other about what it is we're doing here, why we gather, who we're becoming, and who we are. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. I invite you to warmly greet those who have gathered today in the chat, remembering it's public. Say hello. Welcome. I invite you now to join with me in a spirit of prayer and meditation. Be where you are. Let this place hold you up. Let yourself be grounded. Let yourself be elevated. Spirit of life and of love, called by many names, known in many ways, experienced in many ways. Our hope and our prayer this morning is to remember who we are and to remember who we're called into becoming. To remember that it takes work day by day to answer that call. To remember that we are beloved exactly as we are, and that we're invited into a larger and larger life. Spirit of life, spirit of love, that force that lives between two people when they meet each other wholly, face to face. Our hope and our prayer this morning is to remember ourselves exactly so that we can turn to face the world again, to serve the world, to be of use, not in grand and great ways, but in the everyday ways of our everyday living. Amen. Throughout the week, we have full lives. We have experiences of joy and of sorrow, and on Sundays we come to put these experiences, to put the fullness, the richness of our lives into each other's hands. We share our joys and we share our sorrows with each other. And I invite you in just a moment to put those into the chat. When we meet in person, we light candles for these. And so in the chat, if you have a joy or a sorrow that's too tender to be spoken aloud, to be typed aloud, enter in I, as if you were raising two fingers in silence, just like we would in person, to light a candle for you in silence. I invite you now to trust those joys and sorrows into each other's hands.
Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for its all, for the children of our children. keep the circle whole. Circle round for freedom. Circle round for peace. For all of us imprisoned. Circle for release. Circle for the planet. Circle for its soul. For the children of our children. Keep the circle whole. Circle round for freedom. Circle round for peace. For all of us imprisoned. Circle for release. Circle for the planet. Circle for its soul. For the children of our children. Keep the circle whole.
One of my family's favorite stories to tell is about my first day of school when I was 5. It was a well-known fact that for my entire life, I love sleep. And because of this, my mom had me practice waking up from school the week leading up to the first day of kindergarten, coming in every morning and waking me up at the same time. It had varied results. Eventually, the morning of my actual first day of school arrived, and my mother opened the bedroom door, walked across the room, stepping over dolls and stuffed animals, and arrived at my bed. "Monica," she said, gently rubbing my shoulder, "wake up. It's the first day of school." I waved her away with one tiny hand, eyes closed, and said, "Just 20 more minutes, Mom, just 20 more minutes." 20 more minutes, she said. "You can't tell time. That's why you're going to school." Well, she called me on my bluff. I had to sleepily mosey on down the bed ladder to start my first day of school. Now, in present day, I am still a fan of the extra 20 minutes of sleep. My husband can attest to my frequent use of the snooze button, but that extra sleep is paired with something new, and that is guilt. I often feel guilty for taking that extra rest and not waking up super early with the first alarm to be the most productive person that I can be every day. When the pandemic hit and people were asked to shelter in place, I heard similar sentiments from people in my community. I'm so tired, but I should be doing more. I've done some things around the house, but not as much as I should. I really need to be more productive. Our society, which values work and capitalism, can make us feel like our self-worth is directly correlated with what we can produce. That our bodies and our minds must always be streamlined and efficient. Well, today I'm here to tell you that is just not true. And I'm going to take it one step further and say that all of us deserve and need rest. Now, I'm not saying that we should never do any kind of work again, but I am suggesting that when we allow ourselves to recharge and heal through taking intentional breaks, we can go back to our work, energized to live out our 7 principles in the world. Taking a day of rest is not something that is completely new to Unitarian Universalists or other faith traditions, as many observe a Sabbath as a day of rest in the community. Our Christian roots connect us to the Sabbath practice of resting on Sunday, a symbolic day of how God rested on the 7th day of creation in the Bible. Today, it's difficult for us to imagine having an entire day like that, but we can use the time in church as time to tend to ourselves and our spirit in a busy week. It's amazing how hard it is for us to find time to stop or slow down when it is one of our basic needs. Besides food and water, our bodies need sleep and rest to function. Therefore, the power of taking that time is significant. So what does it mean to rest? How do we do it? The first way that we can rest is sleep. It helps our bodies grow and heal, while also provides our minds time to process. When we get a full 7 to 8 hours of sleep, our memory can improve long term. A 20-minute nap can restore your tired self for the rest of the day. While sleep is one of the first ways that we think of when it comes to rest, sliding into bed and taking a nap is not the only way. Resting can be as simple as just stopping whatever we are doing and listening to ourselves, or doing something that we enjoy without the need to feel productive. One way that we can simply just be in our daily lives is through mindfulness, the practice of simply observing the present moment. You can be observing what is in the environment around you, an action you are doing, or observe what is within yourself. To demonstrate, I'd like to invite us to a moment of mindfulness here together. If you have a cup of coffee or a beverage in front of you, I invite you to grab that now. And if you don't have a beverage, you can simply observe your breath during this time. Now, for those of you with a mug or a glass, I invite you to hold it in front of you and take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And just really focus your attention on this glass. Now we will take a sip together, and as you sip, I invite you to just pay attention to everything. How it tastes, how it smells, how it feels, everything as you slowly sip your drink. And just take in everything that you notice. Now, that was just a moment of mindfulness. Do you feel any different? Maybe not, but maybe you'd feel lighter or more attentive, or maybe just a little bit calmer. That is the power of just taking one moment of rest. And this practice is something that you can do every morning with a cup of coffee or while taking a walk. Another way we can rest is just by doing the little things that bring us joy without a need for them to be productive or work. Make art or watch a movie, call a friend, whatever it is that lifts your spirit or makes you feel restored. When we make time for rest, it makes us more present to what we need. When we are going, focusing on the next thing and being as productive as possible, we can miss signals from our body and our mind that we need a break. We may not notice how tired we are or what emotional or spiritual weight we might be holding on to. Have you ever experienced those moments when you stop for a moment after working and realize, wow, I am really tired? Or when you sit with your thoughts for a moment and realize that you've been holding grief or sadness just for the sake of getting work done. Rest gives us these opportunities to check in with ourselves and restore our minds, bodies, and spirits through practices like sleep, mindfulness, and just pressing pause for a moment. In a culture which values productivity over people, rest can also be a form of resistance. In Atlanta, Georgia, Tricia Hersey created the organization The Nap Ministry for just this purpose. Through workshops, community organizing, performance art, and a strong social media presence, the Nap Ministry shares the good news of the liberating power of naps. In their own words, we believe rest is a form of resistance and name sleep deprivation as a racial and social justice issue. In a June NPR interview this year, during the rise of the Black Lives Matter protests, the NAP bishop herself, Tricia Hersey, described how protests and resistance are not without need for rest. She said, "Right now, rest is critical because it's counterintuitive and counter-narrative to see slowing down, napping, and rest as a key to our movement for Black liberation. But it really is so important because rest disrupts and pushes back and allows space for healing, for invention, for us to be more human. It'll allow us to imagine this new world that we want, this new world that's liberated, that's full of justice, that's a foundation for us to really, truly live our lives. We cannot do the work of making a better world for everyone without first allowing ourselves to rest. When we take the time to rest, whatever that means for us, we resist white supremacy culture and dream what the future could look like. And when we rest, we dream. We become more energized. And then we can go back to the work and make those dreams a reality. The events of 2020 have highlighted the inequalities in our world, the suffering of many, and the work that we need to do collectively. But we simply cannot do what needs to be done in our world, or even within ourselves, if we do not give ourselves time to simply be, to sleep, to feel, to just be in our own bodies. So please go and do the hard work, the work that you are passionate about, but also identify the practices for yourself that allow you to rest and recharge. Let's promise here today to give ourselves permission to take those naps, meditate, drink some tea, or whatever it is that makes us feel rested and restored. Let's give ourselves the 20 more minutes of sleep. The world so needs us, the work of this church, a church who can change the world because they take the time to rest and to dream.
There are times when we feel lost and scared, and the future seems unclear. There are times we feel that no one cares, and we can't hold back our tears. So it's time to regain all our strength. We can just give it again and again. So we stand here
May we all rest our minds, our bodies, and our spirits. May we take the moments to dream, to love, and to just be. We extinguish our chalice flame with a new commitment to the liberating power of rest. Be well, and blessed be.